And good evening, everyone. I'm David Burnett. Welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports once again. This is Wednesday, and this is happy hour, as Chuck Snowden always says. Good morning, good morning, good evening, fellas. How y'all doing?
What's up, David?
Great. Love
Hey,
America.
Dave, what's up, man? How you doing?
Love America.
I'm not. Let me start to introduce the fellas. There's something a little bit wrong with the feed right now. By the way, we've got a welcome back to former panelist Bobby Kinzer. How you doing, Bobby?
Dave, I am feeling so good. I feel like a one-eyed man peeking through a keyhole at a brothel. You don't know how good that feeling is.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know how that feels. But you can. I'm sure you can tell us. By the way, let's welcome Andrew Stevens, frequent panelist. Andrew, good to see you again.
Hey, I feel great. Great to see you guys. I don't feel quite as good as Bobby does, but I feel good.
Nobody feels as good as Bobby.
No.
And last but not least, Charles Snowden II. Chuck, how you doing, Chuck?
David, I'm doing really well. I know tonight we're going to spend some time with one of your teams there in Indianapolis. So we'll be presenting you your flowers tonight.
Oh, I'm due some flowers.
And Chuck, I just want to say, if I can say this, that Chuck comes from one of the greatest high schools out of Washington, D.C., St. Anthony's. I just want to make that note.
Wait, but just be clear, Bobby. He did not actually graduate from high school.
Well, I didn't want to
wait, hold on, Charles. They graduated you? They gave you all right. I apologize. I thought it was.
Oh boy,
you've already lost control, haven't you, David?
The show is off to a steaming start.
Okay. All right. I love Charles. He's my guy.
All right, we've got a lot to talk about, but only two main topics, but a lot of subtopics within those topics. The NFL draft and the NBA playoffs. Let's start with the NFL draft, and the lead story with the draft is obviously, if you weren't paying attention, it's Shedeur Sanders. How did he slip to the fifth round? What happened? And Chuck, let me start with you. You predicted he'd go second round.
Yeah.
How did he slide to the fifth?
Yeah, I think your phrase, by the way, last week was "you guaranteed he wasn't going to get past the."
Well, he should have been in the first round. We know that.
Well, I think what's happened is if Shedeur was Allen Iverson or Aaron Hernandez or Mayweather or even his dad Dion, his talent could overlook some of the behavioral stuff that the ownerships they didn't want that, and they didn't like the way he behaved. They didn't like the fact that he didn't run the 40, didn't come to the combine. How they sent him the playbook, and when he came in for the interview, he hadn't even been prepared because he didn't want to go to certain cities. And I just think that the word got around, and his talent is just not good enough to tolerate that behavior.
Well, we'll keep talking about that because we're going to spend some time on this. Andrew, your thoughts on what happened with Shedeur Sanders? Why did he slide all the way to fifth round for Cleveland?
Yeah. So first, I want to recognize that race is an overriding factor that needs to be recognized and can't be ignored. And it is not for me to sit here and say anything much about that per se, because I can't really speak to that experience or perspective per se in terms of real knowledge. I do think, I would say broadly speaking, I think there were a lot of factors. And I mean, some of it is, a lot of what I see is that whether it was the media or even the Colorado program building him up, there was somehow a disconnect between his perceived skills and his expectation where he might be drafted. But none of there are probably 6 or 7 layers here that can't be discussed in a very, like simple or even efficient way. But I recognize that the cultural aspect and the social,
Okay.
the socioeconomic sort of thing is definitely can't be mistaken or ignored.
Bobby, your thoughts on that? And by the way, do you think how much did the Deion Sanders factor play into this, and the fact that, they talked about him being arrogant, him not attending the
Well, and Andrew, I think you hit the nail on the head. There are so many parts, and none of them are mutually exclusive from one another, that is playing into this whole thing. It's no question in my mind that race is a part of it. And people don't realize after the pandemic, the NFL didn't draft one player from an HBCU, the whole draft. So come on now. So this is nothing new. But then there's so many other parts that, the arrogance, not going to the combines, and that he's not the first person that did that. I mean, I've seen Tom Brady boast. I've seen Peyton Manning.
Well, what about Eli and his dad Archie
Yes.
orchestrating
wouldn't go. Right.
pick up to go to New York instead of San Diego?
Yeah. So this is not the first thing, but I mean, it's still the way. And even Shedeur said he would, if he was to do it again, he would do some things different. I thought that was really gallant, because one thing I've learned in sports and entertainment, you got to know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
In the market, if you're in the market, you got to know your market. And, hey, some of the things you just can't do, man. I mean, it messes with your value. So it's so many things. So that's.
Are we ever going to really know exactly what the factors were? I don't think we are. The fact is, the number 1 draft pick was an African American in Cam Ward.
Right.
The discussion about black quarterbacks is not the same discussion that we had years ago. I remember counting on one hand, 50, 40, 30 years ago, the number of African Americans who were starting in the NFL. When I was growing up, when I was able to block your shot, Bobby,
in your dreams,
there was essentially one African American quarterback, and that was James
Harris
at that time. So things have changed. There are black quarterbacks who have become MVPs. It's multiple.
Oh, so many black quarterbacks in the league.
So is race a factor, or is the perception of entitlement perceived differently? Chuck, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't think it's race. I don't. And maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm because of what you just said earlier. The number 1 pick in the draft was Cam Ward. And last I checked, he's black. And
the last season, the same thing.
16 or 17 starting quarterbacks in the fall, 16 or 17 will be black starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So we've come a long way in that regard. So when we say race, I think what we really mean is culture, right?
Okay.
The whole Shedeur culture, the way he carried himself, the way the Deion and those guys out there carried themselves, and then the post-college season behavior of Shedeur and his camp, no agent, and so forth. They just overplayed their hand.
But should that matter? Should that matter? When all is said and done, should it matter? He led college football in passing percentage and passing accuracy.
Those are phony things. Those are phony.
No, they're not phony. He was in a major conference.
So I would say, so what? All the quarterbacks who were taken, they all had good percentages,
But
and
they were not.
No,
They
no,
were
no,
not.
they have
They were
nothing
not
to do
the
with
same
him.
as.
Though you
They were
can't,
not
you can't.
what?
You see, a lot of people do that, man. Not you.
What?
Chuck. A lot of people take one black person that they did something good and say, "Look, we didn't do it with this person. That has nothing to do with Shador, right?" I think it's many things. Like Andrew said, there are many variables that affected him, and I'm telling you, it's no question. One of them was race. I wouldn't say it's the main thing, Chuck, but in this country, I can't. I mean, I've seen what's the boy that played for came out and played for Cleveland, the white guy.
Johnny Manziel.
Thank you. He did
Manziel.
all this crazy stuff. Got commercials out the bag, but nobody talked about his culture. You know, nobody talked about his culture. So it's I don't. Back to your point, David. I don't think we ever know. But can I ask this question? I want to ask y'all this question.
Go right ahead.
Back to maybe what Chuck is alluding to, other than the culture thing, excuse me, no, away from culture, performance. You know who is the most sacked quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Now, we know he didn't have a good line. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But does his performance have anything to do with it?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, his performance does have a lot to do with
But
it.
how you go from one being the first?
Who said he was one, Bobby?
All the pundits. Mel Carter.
They do the high. Who does the drafting? Do the pundits do the drafting?
No, but Chuck, fair deal. But to go from one, I mean, all the top people to 5, something fishy. I'm sorry. That's a
Kung Fu.
wanted.
No, I think the fishy part,
What's up?
Bobby, is, hey, Bobby, if I ask you to come to your interview and you're not prepared, Bobby, I ain't fooling with you, right? If your arm strength, if you come to the combine, I'm already worried about your arm strength and your speed, and these things matter to these guys.
Well, wait a minute. And in fairness, talking about speed, well, let's break this down, and we'll spend just a couple more minutes on this topic. Tom Brady ran a 5.2.
He got drafted
5.240.
He got drafted sixth.
Well, but again,
He did, David. He got drafted.
I understand where he was drafted. I understand where he was drafted. I'm just saying speed shouldn't have mattered, because what's the highlight that they always show of Shador? The highlight that I see is him running to score a touchdown, and he ran pretty quickly to get that touchdown. So I think speed is a red herring. I think a number of things are red herrings. Is race a factor? It's a little bit of a factor in that I think today, perhaps the owners, perhaps the general managers are uncomfortable with the possibility of what comes behind Shador Sanders, his dad, the publicity, the money, etc. Am I wrong about that, Andrew?
I don't think you're wrong. I think Deion actually did play a factor. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that, like, Deion was very early in the process, before his value had really been established, said, look, there's certain teams we're just not going to go to. And you brought up Eli Manning, and Eli Manning was by no means like God's gift to quarterbacking. Okay. He was a very effective and solid and even very good at times quarterback, but he was not he was not elite.
And he played at Ole Miss.
Right? A good football school. But I do think if anyone in the NFL had the number 1 pick that year and needed a quarterback, they would have picked Eli Manning. And so the game that he and Archie played, the Manning family played, worked. And I think, I do think we bought into a lot of the hype about Shador, but I did a lot of research going into the draft, and it was becoming clear he was not really a first-round talent. Okay, he might have been second or third.
Thank you.
But
not fifth.
Not fifth.
Right, but when your talent doesn't match your approach, then you get punished.
But did you see his pro? Did you? Well, he was his pro day.
He didn't have a pro. He
Yeah,
also
he did have a pro day.
Yes, he
At
did.
his school,
He threw.
at his school.
He threw.
Right, but the Big 12 pro day that he went to, he didn't work out, and he
Right.
didn't go to the
He ain't
Senior
the
Bowl.
first.
He didn't go to the Shrine Bowl,
Not the first.
and you know, he acted like he was Eli Manning. Okay,
Yeah.
and he might turn into Eli Manning. He might turn into Tom Brady.
Well, let's
Well,
look
the point
at
is he has a
this
shot.
factor.
He's going
He
to
has
Let's
a
look at
shot.
next year's factor.
Hey.
Who is the probable presumptive
Arch
number
Manning,
one draft?
Okay,
Arch Manning has barely played.
I know.
Has barely
Don't
played.
be Archie.
And why do you think he's the presumptive number one draft pick? Because
As-
he's from a lineage.
right, but
a
he also,
family.
when he's been in, he's been pretty darn good.
He hadn't been better.
And by the
He
way,
has not
because
been better than
because we
Shador.
say 12 months out that this guy's going to be the number one pick. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
that's
that's a media creation
Oh.
as well, right? And it might
Hey, here
prove
we
to
go
be a
again.
false.
But it will
false
bear
comment.
out. It'll bear out a little bit better than what happened with Shador.
But can I make this last point? This
Sure.
is the same point about DEI, and this is the correlation, right? They say about DEI, it should be based on merit, not on a person's race, right? But yet, there have been many people who were white and got in with less ability, but they don't say that it's about merit when they get in. But then when it's a black person, it's about merit. It's the same thing here. It's like the bar keeps moving, you know, when it comes to
Right, but
us.
the most common comparison made here is Eli Manning, and Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, and he will go to the Hall of Fame. Okay,
Hmm.
and you might not like that he's going to the Hall of Fame, but he's recognized as accomplished quarterback who was worthy of the number one pick.
He's a very good quarterback.
He is.
I don't know that he's Hall of Fame worthy.
And he became a very good quarterback.
Right, and that might
Right.
happen to Shador too. I mean, it happened to Tom Brady, and I think the real idea is Shador has a shot to show us who he is, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Last question on Shador. Will he have any starts this coming season? Chuck, with you.
None.
Andrew.
I think there'll be some rookies starting, whether it's he or the 3rd round pick they picked. I would bet on Shador. I think he's got the motivation he's always needed, and I don't doubt him. I think this is what he needed.
Bobby.
There's a saying that I always put my hat on. It's hard to keep a 3rd-class man up. It's hard to keep a 1st-class man down. I think the cream rise to the top, and I think he might be one of those.
He
I'm not
comes
rooting
from,
against them. I'm
comes
not
from
rooting
good
against
stock.
them.
I'm rooting for him, actually.
I am too.
All right, let's move on. Quarterback, we're still going to talk about. The number one pick this year was an African American coming out of the University of Miami, Cam Ward. He had a rocky start to his collegiate career, but ended up at Miami and ended up really wowing the pundits as well as the experts. How's Cam Ward going to do with the Tennessee Titans? Bobby.
I have not a freaking clue. It was like when Obama became running for president. Dick Gregory, I talked to Dick Gregory personally. Dick Gregory said, man, I'm the man in New York. And this guy, I ain't never heard of this guy. I ain't never even seen him play. So I'm not the one to tell. Where did he come from? All of a sudden he ended up on. I still can't believe how this guy ended up the number one player pick, man. I do know he started off bad. But I'm talking about the number one. I don't know. That's my take there. I have not a clue.
Chuck.
Well, look, Bobby, they got professionals that evaluate these people, right? I know that
Oh
you
my God.
obviously,
Yeah, like Mel
obviously an
Tucker.
expert, and you seem to know better what talent is and what talent is not. But here's the thing. I, too, agree with you, Bobby. I don't know how he's going to do because I don't think rookie quarterbacks, the odds are always against them. I don't care if they pick number 1 or in the 6th round. It is a tough, tough job. And they do need a quarterback in obviously in Tennessee, and they will give him a long look. But it's still hard. The Jaden Daniel thing that happened here in Washington, that's the anomaly. I mean, that's the outlier, if you will. And I just don't know. I just don't know how he's going to do.
Let me go to a team that's near and dear to you, Chuck. The Las Vegas Raiders, Ashton Genty, picked by the Raiders at pick number 6.
Mhm.
How's he going to do? Your son plays on that team. Is your son excited about Ashton Genty?
Yes, he is. He's very excited. He's not only excited about Ashley, but he's excited about the entire draft class. They drafted 11 guys, and they had a big undrafted free agent signing the day after, too. So they've got a lot of new faces. I like that kid a lot. And by the way, with Pete Carroll as their head coach, knowing that they had Marshawn Lynch, etc., he would rather run the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how that worked out. But yes, I did like that draft choice.
While we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders and your son, let me ask you, a couple of years ago, when you started on this show, your son was in the draft process. He didn't get drafted, but he's hung on. He's been on the practice squad several years, and he made the roster finally and played a full season last season. What was it like for you, Chuck, I think it was 3-4 years ago, when Charles III was a candidate, one of the great players out of the University of Virginia? What was it like for you during that process?
Look like he's
Charles?
frozen.
Oh,
Charles, we have a bandwidth issue.
could be. We'll get back to Chuck on that. Let me move on. Any draft surprises with you, Andrew? Anything that surprised you in the draft?
No, I think, like, when it comes to Cam Ward, I think the fact that he has significant experience, there's definitely a correlation between starting a lot of games, maybe even playing in more than one program, and being ready for the NFL. So I do think Cam Ward is in a good position to succeed. When it comes to the draft in general, I think the teams that had a lot of picks are going to be real happy. And I think the New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Raiders in particular, they both had a ton of picks, and they did real well. I think, like, this is a draft where having 4, 5, 6 round picks actually made a difference. And the draft was deep on the deep end, the latter end. So I think the teams with more picks and there's more shots at the barrel, I think they're going to be the teams that win on the long run from this draft.
Looks like we got Chuck back. Chuck, we're talking about the feelings that you had several years ago when your son was facing the possibility of being drafted, didn't get drafted, but he's made it. He made it anyway, been on the practice squad for several years on several teams, and now it looks like he's solid with the Raiders. What was your feeling several years ago when Charles III was possibly being drafted?
I was still hoping and praying that all the things were lined up that he would pull it out, because it is really, really, really hard. And even last year on the Raiders, when he did finally make it, by the way, that was year 4 of him attempting. He had been on practice squads, had been called up only twice. And last year, right before the season started, the starting defensive end blew his knee out. Then Charles made the 53, played the whole season, and played pretty well because he got the opportunity. But if Malcolm Kuntz doesn't blow his knee out, I'm not 100% sure if he would have got called up. But now he played well. They feel better about him. So we're hoping that this year, again, he makes the 53. It's hard. It's not like basketball and baseball. Those contracts aren't guaranteed, and you got to make the ball club.
Any draft surprises, Chuck? And then we'll ask Bobby the same question.
For me, was there any draft? Not really. Not a big surprise outside of the Shedeur thing. Nothing that really jumped out at me, honestly.
Bobby, any surprise for you during the draft?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, near and dear to all of our hearts.
Had a pick every round, which is not a given. They had 5, 6 round picks. So, like Andrew said, the teams that have the line of picks, those were the teams. I mean, and they got like safeties, offensive linebackers. Seemed like I'm looking at it, it's a lot of the defense they did. tackles, got a kicker, cornerback, safety, edge man, another cornerback, wide receiver.
Now you mentioned they got a kicker. It looks like they're going to need a kicker.
Yeah, no question. So they did, but it was several other teams that did well. Man, Arizona did well with Hunter, and who else? Oh, the Cowboys. I mean, once again, several picks. These teams had several picks, man. The Jaguars, there were some teams that did really, really well. The Colts, another one, Andrew, that had a lot of picks.
We got the tight end that we wanted.
That was a fortuitous opportunity.
Yes.
We're going to take that opportunity and do something with it.
I thought it was pretty cool that the two Ohio State running backs, they both went in the second round, but they went early. One went like the 33rd pick, and the other went like the 35th pick. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, running backs usually don't go that.
Right. Running backs got drafted this year.
This was a strong year for running backs. One of the strongest years.
Thank goodness for that. They're near and dear to my heart, my position.
We're a copycat league, David, as you know. So when Saquon and running back for the Ravens did well, more clubs are seems like they're going to try to run the ball.
Real quickly, what team won the draft, Chuck?
Again, I'm partial to the Raiders because they made 11 picks and they like them all. And they got a good grade from a lot of the experts. So I'll say the Raiders.
Andrew, what team won the draft?
I think the New England Patriots won the draft. They had an enormous amount of picks. Their first round pick was not very sexy. But after the first three players, there was not an obvious choice. And my belief when you're a building team is oftentimes pick the player with the highest floor.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the highest ceiling, but the highest floor. And that's what the tackle out of LSU, Will Campbell, represents. I think they did a good job there. And the rest of the draft, they did a lot better.
Okay. Bobby.
Believe it or not, David, there were several teams that did very well. At least 9 teams got an A or A plus rating on their draft. And once again, the ones that they had multiple draft choices. But at least 9 teams did very well. I don't know. It's hard to pick one that just did way better than another because everybody, remember, it's hard to judge because everybody is picking towards their needs,
All right, last question. Go ahead, Chuck.
I like Kung Fu's point, though. I like the fact that they went and got their guy, which was Travis Hunter. He's from the Jacksonville area. They didn't mess around. They went and got him as the second pick. And everybody seems to be very happy with that, including Travis.
By the way, can I intercede real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
When they had the press conference introducing Travis Hunter to the Jacksonville media, GM, he's very young. He's 36 years old. James Gladstone gave quite an intro. Gave quite a verbal exclamation point on this decision. Did you guys happen to see that?
I didn't see it.
I would recommend checking it out. I'll send it to you guys on the whole the Google machine or whatever, because it was something that if Shedeur doesn't work out, this will be played. If he does work out, this will be played. So you'll hear about this intro later because it was quite rehearsed and I think effective and very, very over the top, but it's still kind of fun, still kind of cool.
Last thing on football. Washington, D.C. is near and dear to all 4 of us. Looks like there's going to be a new stadium at the RFK site. The Commanders have negotiated and got, looks like a state-of-the-art stadium. What does it mean to you? Because I know that piece of junk out there in Landover. It's got to go. Andrew, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the new stadium?
How you really feel?
We had 25 years of a clown show, okay? And in a very short period of time, this guy, Josh Harris, I've never met him. I don't know him. I don't know anyone who knows him. But, man, I'm impressed.
Yes.
And to make this much progress in such a short period of time, both on the field and off the field, shows real competence and a real strategic plan and excellent execution. One thing I would say is there's things going on in the district that on a political level will be very, very unpredictable. There's a lot of dynamics, and even the budget bill that's coming up relative to Medicaid spending, 40% of district residents are on Medicaid, and they're looking at taking all that away will crush the district budget. There's a lot. I think that the parameters and the finances around the deal will change pretty significantly to get this passed. I think it will get passed, but we're in for a rocky ride.
But
Chuck,
remember,
yeah.
Andrew, he who owns the gold makes the rules.
I know. That's what my mom
So
told
they've
me.
got 4 of the council members. They need 7. They got 4
Well,
already.
they got 5 actually. They got 5.
Well, they got only going to get.
They
There's
got
no way
7.
that two other. This is going to get done.
It's going to be an ugly couple months starting tomorrow.
So you guys think it's going to be a real fight?
I think the terms will change radically. I think they'll be more friendly to the district. I think in the end it won't. It'll be passed easily, but I think the owners of the Commanders group, the ownership group, will have to concede a lot of things because the finances in the district are going to get tenuous really quick. There's
They're
a lot
already
of
tenuous. They're already tenuous.
What's the estimated?
They're going to get worse. They're going to get a lot worse.
You guys are right there in the DMV. I'm out here in Indianapolis these days. What's the estimated cost of this proposed stadium?
Like $3
So
billion.
I can tell you that 3.5 billion approximately, 2.5 to 2.7 paid for by the team. The actual stadium paid for entirely by the Commanders. Approximately 1 billion in infrastructure costs. That's parking garages, possibly a new subway stop paid for by the city. So relatively friendly relative to some other deals. Like whatever the Titans did in Nashville was highway robbery, but still $1 billion is $1 billion at a time where library is going to get closed and services are going to get shut down in the coming months. So it's going to get tricky when people around here are unemployed and pissed off.
Okay. Any other thoughts, gentlemen, as we talk about the stadium?
We're
before
going to
we
have a
move on?
stadium. It'll be 2030 when we go and play in it for the first time, and we could get a Super Bowl a couple of years later.
Change the name. I want them to change it. I can't stand no command. I call them the Commodores.
All right. That's enough on football. NBA, our other big topic. And I want to start as the moderator tonight. We're going to start talking about the greatest team in the NBA.
Oh boy,
That's the Indiana Pacers.
there we go.
Did you all watch that game last
saw it.
night?
I saw it live in person. Or
Just say no to drugs.
Unbelievable.
Congratulations.
I got to tell you, I watched initially and turned it off because the Pacers stunk for about 2 quarters, and then they came back. But how about the end of that game, Bobby? Did you see the end?
I saw the end, didn't see the whole game. Saw the end. Man.
Does it hurt you that bad?
Yeah, because I just, you're such a good friend of mine, and I just hate to see you get crushed and have these high hopes and think they're going somewhere. It's
We won a series. We own
in the
Milwaukee.
East. You're in the East. Remember that. You're in the East.
By the way, didn't the East win the NBA championship last year?
Of course, and they might win it again, but that's only one team in the East. But oh God, jeez, I can't. The Pacers going to play Cleveland. Yeah, you done. Stick a fork in them. Y'all know, roll them over.
About last night, though, David.
Okay,
I mean,
go ahead,
they were
Chuck.
down. They were down 7 with 30 seconds to go. Down 7, and it was 118 to 111. And when the game was over, it was 119 to 118. Pacers win. And it's amazing because Halliburton made 2 layups in a row. Like, they just let him come down in the middle. And
They didn't let him. They didn't let him.
Yes,
Well,
they did.
No,
Well,
they didn't.
let's talk about that play a little bit because that was a real key play. So it was a pick and roll intended to get Halliburton, one-on-one with Giannis. Okay, that was
right.
and and it worked. Okay, now generally speaking, on a pick and roll, unless you've got 2 long, like wing 6'7" guys who are able to switch, you're going to have the big man show just to hold the ball handler until the little guy comes back and is able to cover him. That did not happen. Okay. And so Giannis is covering Halliburton on the perimeter, which is the mismatch Indiana wanted. And I think this was really about coaching. I think Doc Rivers, I don't give Carlisle so much credit. I give Doc Rivers a lot of blame. He's done this a lot. Okay. He's blown a lot of leads. He's blown a lot of like victories in hand. And I just got to tell you, as I watched the last 40.7 seconds, yeah, the players made mistakes, but Indiana, it looked like the Bucks weren't ready. It looks like their head wasn't in it, and they made silly mistakes and silly turnovers when they should not have.
The play you're talking about, Andrew, the weak side help didn't even come over.
No, but that's a coaching thing. I think.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Andrew, thank you for articulating the wonderful play that they were trying to run. We're talking about the Bucks here. Do you know why Doc went to them? Because they need help. They don't play no D.
I know.
They can't stop nobody.
Okay, I don't want to. Are you Doc your friend? Is that your?
No, I can't take Doc. I'm not a Doc fan. Believe the truth, I am not a Doc fan.
But none of us are really Doc fans.
Okay, look, the Bucks are going to get blown up, and it might happen tomorrow. Okay, we're going to see something that's different than the Luka Doncic trade, which is like one of the top 3 players in the NBA is going to get traded in the next 2 months, and it's going to be for good reason. It has nothing to do with the quality of his play. Like Giannis is the real deal. At the very worst, he's the 3rd best player in the NBA. The Bucks have no cap. They've got no draft picks. And with the team they have right now, they'll never be higher than a 6, 7, 8 seed. Agreed. At the very best. And even if they go to the basement, they don't even own their draft picks. They've got to make a change. And it's the right thing for Giannis. It's going to be fascinating because someone like Houston or San Antonio or Oklahoma City or
Orlando,
New Jersey Nets. Wait, who's that, Bobby?
Orlando.
I mean, even the Wizards. I hate to say,
please don't do that to that man.
Look, they've got some assets. They've got no players because the Milwaukee doesn't want players. They want picks.
Well, keep in mind, Milwaukee is in danger because they've got to pay out $60 million next season to a player who's not going to play at all for another 2 years. Right. Damian Lillard, who ruptured his Achilles. So I feel badly for Milwaukee, but they did win a championship with Giannis.
I tell you, that Gary Trent Jr. played really well for Milwaukee in a couple of those games. Though.
Until he committed 2 turnovers in the final 40 seconds.
Well, that shouldn't overlook the fact that he won a game for them. He literally won a game for them.
You're only good as your last game, though, David.
Well, he hit 9 3-pointers. Without him, they're not in the game. Yeah, they're not in the game.
Oh, went right through his legs.
They are suspect at best.
Congratulations to you, though, David. And by the way, it's an extra congratulations because they had I've been, as you know, on this show for 2 years. I've been beating up Halliburton, talking about he overrated and they gave him $50 million and all this craziness. And in fact, the players last week, they voted him the most overrated player in the NBA, and yet it was him that closed out that game on a couple plays late.
Yeah, because the sorry team overrated. Halliburton, man, that dude. I wish I played against him. I watch him play. The guy is slow as a goddamn milk wagon. And he goes right. Just push him. What's up with the NBA? Just push him. On me, though, when he has no left. He has no left. Overrated.
I have had mixed feelings about Halliburton as well, and I live here in Indianapolis these days. But Halliburton, when he needed to make the play, Tyrese Halliburton made the play, and I got to give him credit because ordinarily, what would Halliburton have done? He would have kicked it out. He would have been 2 inches from the rim and kicked it out for somebody's 3-pointer. He decided to go to the hoop, and that alone.
If I was playing against the Little Sisters of the Poor, I'd have went to the rim too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Bobby!
Wow, he's rough, boy.
I hope that book sells.
not in Wisconsin, not in Milwaukee.
Andrew, you said not in Milwaukee.
All right, let's talk about real quickly. Go through the playoffs at this point. Detroit should be beating New York. It's a 3-2 series. Detroit got hosed a couple of games ago. What's going to happen? Who's winning the next game? Is New York is up 3-2. Let me start with you, Bobby.
Brunson was torching my man.
Cunningham.
Who was, I'm sorry, who was is it
Cunningham.
Schroeder?
Oh, Schroeder. Okay. Yeah.
He was torching him. He was Brunson, man. I used to be questioning about that dude, man.
He's got a lot of heart.
Yes, but
can play.
dude score. He can play, man. He won that game single-handedly. He torched the mugs, man. And the big man out there shooting threes, live by the jumper. Big man, die by the big man.
Towns. You talking about Towns?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you can't win your big man. I know that's the league now. The big man shooting the three out of the time. You can't win. You ain't gonna win out. Nah. I'm thinking Detroit might pluck.
Detroit should be up in the series.
Yes.
Now, real question. That 3-point shot that was attempted the other game, and they didn't call a foul. When it was a foul, the league admitted it was a foul. The officials admitted it was a foul. The player who fouled him and didn't get the foul called on him admitted he hit him. How do we look at that, Andrew?
So I did some research on this, and because the
You and
foul,
your research.
yeah, I'm a nerd. So according to the rules surrounding instant replay in the NBA, because a foul wasn't called, you can't review something that quote unquote didn't happen. You can't review the call because there was no call, which is funny because when the Lakers played Minneapolis, the Timberwolves, there was no foul called against LeBron on Edwards, right?
Correct.
But there's a funny rule, and this is a real rule. When there's an out of bounds play, the officials can review the out of bounds play, and if they determine that there was a foul on the play that led to the out of bounds ball that was in question, they can call a foul, and only in that instance when there's not been a foul called. Right. So this is a very confusing set of circumstances.
Let's stop right there. They can change the rule, Andrew. They should all the time.
They should.
I suggest that next year or this summer, the NBA looks at that particular kind of situation when the refs aren't 100% sure that they should go to the monitor in the playoffs within the last 2 minutes and look and see if it was because no one any good to after this game is over, 15 minutes and say, you know what, we blew the call.
But the fact is, and I think you all have made great points, but the fact is Detroit was hosed.
Yes.
They should be up in this series. Every game has been close.
Yes.
Detroit is the equal of New York.
They're going to win, by the way. They're going to win. Ball don't lie.
I agree.
Ball don't lie.
You gotta pay your price.
But see, I think
you can't get into the playoffs for the first time in 100 years and
Sure you can.
You have to pay your dues.
Especially nowadays. But let me there's two factors y'all leaving out though. There's two factors, variables that are kind of hidden variables that also played into that whole call. One is they were letting the Mugs play. Okay. First of all, so that played into it too. They were letting a lot of stuff go. And a lot of times they come to that decision before the game. People don't know that. I know guys who are NBA refs and they meet and they look at the last games and they say, look, this way we call that one too loose. Last week we call that too tight. The other variable was, and this is an unwritten rule with referees. It is said that they do not want a call like that to determine who wins the game.
Hold it right there, Bobby. Hold it right there. So if they make the call, right? They make the call. Now they can go to the monitor to see if it was the right call. You see what I'm saying?
But like I'm saying, I hear what you're saying, Chuck, but they don't want that call to be the reason. It could have went the other way too, Chuck. So let's say that too. It could have went the other way.
We mean
It could went the
way.
other way too. If they made that call and they didn't do it,
then that's fine.
Yeah, but well, the review. You're right. That makes a difference.
Right.
But without reviewing it, I don't think they wanted that call to be determine who wins the game. The referee, unwritten rule, they do not want the referee to be the one who determines who wins the game. That's what I'm saying.
So he's
That's what
Uh,
unwritten
that
rule
said-
is.
That
So-
said, you still want the call to be correct.
I agree.
Because Detroit should be up in the series, period.
So let me say why
Period.
your question to me, David, was who's going to win, and I think Detroit's going to win because I think the Knicks are tired. Okay, they play their starters more than any team in the league, and they played them 82 games more than any other team in the league, and they played them in this first round of the playoffs more than any team in the league. They're going to get tired. They're going to lose on the road, and I think they're going to lose at home in Game 7. I think Detroit's going to win.
Hey, Andrew, I'm glad you bring up some great points. Great points.
I get paid a lot of money.
Oh man, Dad, you know what? You need to get paid more. And with nickels. So, Andrew, this point you make, they were having this whole conversation about the guy, the coach of the Lakers.
I mean, no. Coach of the Lakers.
Lakers.
Yeah.
Same issue.
Yeah.
JJ Redick.
JJ
JJ
Redick.
Playing them too much.
Mhm.
Like what you're saying. They playing too
They
much.
played the entire fourth quarter.
I'm like, for real, dude. Do you know I played 40 minutes every freaking. Wilt Chamberlain 1 year played 48.3 minutes a game. These motherfuckers talking about, they might be tired. Stop that daggone.
Hold on. They got a 40-year-old dude, okay, who's their second best player. Their best player
Get him off
from
the team.
Slovenia isn't in great shape. Okay, he had a stomach flu the day before. Okay, so it's just
You pay these
Dalton
Well,
Knecht
what it
will
also
hurt
can,
you.
what it also can suggest is that the Lakers don't have the bench that they need.
No,
Thank you,
right.
David.
But I think-
so you had to play these
Or
guys.
the Knicks.
You paid money, Andrew. All I know when I played in Europe, if they call for you to play, and if you didn't play, guess what? Your ass was sent home.
I get it, but it's
Same
about
thing.
winning.
I don't
It's about
care.
winning. And Dalton Knecht in the second and third quarter can put in 10 to 15
Stop.
to 18 minutes. It'll
Stop
help
it.
you win if LeBron and Doncic get some rest.
It
They
would
don't
help
have
if
nothing else,
Luca
Andrew.
could play defense.
Yeah, that would be
That too.
that would be
That too,
excellent,
David.
actually.
He's
All right.
out of shape. He's out of shape.
He's
He is.
been out of shape his entire
By the
career.
way, the Knicks will win the series.
All right, let's move on.
Don't put your money on-
Warriors in Houston. Warriors up 3-1. Is it over? Real
Yes,
quickly.
it's a real quick. Houston doesn't have enough offensive talent. They got a lot of great athletes, a lot of hard players, a lot of great defensive players. In the NBA playoffs, you got to be able to score in the half court. Houston has proved they just can't do it yet. They need to make some changes. They need a score on that team.
Chuck.
Yeah,
Is it over?
it's over. Golden State will win. And I'll tell you something. I've been hard on Golden State over the years we've been on the show. I admire the hell out of that program. The coach, the way they move, cut, pass the ball, Steph, the whole thing, Draymond, the whole thing. They'll win this series.
Yeah,
Wow.
they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going out of damn
I
place.
agree with that, by the way.
Get the
I
hell
agree
out of here.
with
They ain't going that daggone place. And
Houston.
I just don't. The guy for Houston, who's at Green, right?
Yeah.
It's too soon for them, like you said. It's too soon
Right.
for them because
Right.
he doesn't know. The boy's going to be I think he's going to be a good player, and he doesn't know how to be a good player yet because he's feeling the pressure that he's the man. So now that they're down, he's up here shooting all these threes because he's feeling the pressure that I gotta win the game. No, dude, keep the way you playing, take and dunk on these mugs, but he's shooting these threes because he's feeling the pressure. He don't know how to beat a man. They're going to him. It's too early. It's too early.
Okay, we'll agree it's too early. All right, Clippers and Denver. Denver is up now. Denver rising from the dead, looking really good now. Is Denver going to win this series? Chuck.
I don't know. I hate to give you that answer, but I don't know. They're
That's
up
a bad
3 games to
answer.
2, and I
Pick
tell
one.
you that's another great series. a
Pick
great
one,
series.
Daggett.
Pick
Murray
one.
had a big game.
Man up,
Pick
man up,
one.
Daggett.
Pick one.
The Clippers.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah, Batman needed Robin. Jamal Murray showed up, scored over 40 last night. Denver's back. They're going to win.
Bobby.
Flip a coin.
Pick one.
I don't mean about picking one.
Pick one.
I'm going with the Clippers because I'm telling you, Kawhi Leonard has really
He
fascinated.
looks good. He looks really
He's
good.
fascinating. To come back and play like that for not playing. A lot of people don't understand that takes a lot, man.
Mike V says Denver wins.
Denver.
I agree.
Michael Van, thanks.
All right. Lakers against Minnesota. Chuck, let me start with you. We know what shirt you're wearing.
Wait.
Are the Lakers going to win?
Hold on. You mean Golden State versus Minnesota, right?
It's
It's
the Lakers versus Minnesota.
I'm sorry. I'm
They
sorry.
haven't finished yet.
I'm sorry.
All right, Chuck.
I had it
I
over.
still think the Lakers will pull it out, even though they're down 3 games to 1.
Okay,
That's what faith is, right, David? That's what faith is.
Let's not bring God into it.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, Minnesota's going to win. JJ might, get religion before tonight's game, but I think Minnesota's got the horses, and the Lakers are an unbalanced squad.
Bobby.
Edwards is nothing but elevating. His game is getting better, and it means lights out for the Lakers. The Lakers don't have enough. I mean, I can't even name some of these guys. I mean, some of these guys on the team, I don't even know where the hell they come from.
But you don't know the Minnesota dudes either.
Yeah.
know who
But
McDaniels
they
is.
balling though.
They
That's
are.
all I'm saying. They balling. You're right. I don't, but they are balling. And I think they have way more talent than the Lakers,
Anthony
All right.
Edwards looks like the best player in the series. That's crazy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's going still look like he only getting better.
Pretty good.
Now, real quickly, we only have a few more minutes left in this show. The teams that have won the series, my Pacers, do they have a chance to advance? We know Bobby says no. Chuck, what do you say?
No, they won't be.
You already know.
They can't beat Cleveland.
No.
Oh, Andrew, can they beat
I
Cleveland?
think Cleveland's going to win. I think Boston will be the representative, but Cleveland will win the next series.
And you all are all wrong. Indiana wins. All right. Warriors. No, we've already gone with the Warriors in Houston. Clippers. Boston beat Orlando handily. Will
Yeah.
Boston win the next series
Yeah,
against
they will.
against New York or Detroit?
Yeah, they will. It'll
Yes,
be
they
Boston,
will.
Cleveland in the finals of the
Yeah,
East.
Boston will be the NBA champions this year.
Okay, you're going all the way.
Yes.
How good is OKC? Are they good enough to win
Very
everything?
good. Very good.
Yes.
I think they're good enough. I don't think they will, but I think they'll be in the finals.
If they wore another jersey other than Oklahoma City,
There we
would
go.
you feel differently? Because I think there is a small market bias that enters into this all the time. Bobby, your thoughts?
Okay.
Can OKC win the whole thing?
Yes, they can. And I've been to Oklahoma 3 times in my life when I was working for the FDIC, and I closed 3 banks in Oklahoma. And if I never go there again, it'll be too goddamn soon. I'm like you. I can't stand. I just can't stand.
I don't think they're like the feds over there. I'm just saying.
Oh,
if you're
trust
looking
me.
and it blows
Hey,
up.
hey, Andrew. Trust me. And I was wearing Italian suits. I wasn't even dressed like my.
No, but it's federal buildings just blow up over there. I'm just telling
Wait a
you.
minute. FDIC was paying you enough to wear Italian suits? I work for
No,
the
that's because
FDIC.
when I just finished playing ball, I had the camel hair, suits, and I would go into the bank in Oklahoma, and they go, and didn't have a team. Then you must play for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm like, no, on behalf of the FDIC, your bank has been taken over. But no, I don't think Oklahoma is ready yet for the big time.
If they wore another jersey, if they wore the Lakers jersey, you would say differently.
Oh,
Chuck,
do
does
like some of the
OKC
other
have a
teams.
chance to win it all?
Of course they do. They're talented as hell. I don't think they
Good.
will, but I
They're
do.
good.
All right, last question. How good is Anthony Edwards? Chuck,
He
how
might be
good
the
is
best
he?
player. This is crazy what I'm saying. I'm not saying it, but he could be the best player in this series against Minnesota.
Is he one of the best players, period?
He sure looks like it.
Bobby, how good is Anthony Edwards?
Looks like it to me too, but I have an issue with his attitude, man.
What's wrong with his attitude?
I love
Well,
that.
during the Olympics, Obama went to speak to him, and he was so arrogant in front of Obama, like he played him off, like he was about to ask somebody, how you
Well,
play.
he's
I'm the
23
best.
years old. He can grow up. He'll grow up.
Yeah, and all I'm talking about is right now. I can't talk about what's later, and that's the only thing. His head. I hope he makes it. And I don't know if y'all saw on it's the Netflix starting five. They have 5 players they're following: Ant-Man, the guy Sabonis, and 5. And I just his mindset, but it looks like he's maturing to me, Dave. But talent-wise, I think he is. But he really, the great ones, you got to do it up here too.
Okay, that's fair. Andrew, how good is Anthony Edwards?
I think he's really good. I think he and Wembanyama are the face of the league starting October 2025.
And you don't include Tyrese Halliburton in that group?
I would say, as impressed as I am with Halliburton, I decidedly do not include him in that.
Real quickly, we did one thing we did not talk about, and I mentioned Halliburton. John Halliburton got in the face of Giannis Antetokounmpo. How do you feel about that? Dads overindulging their position with their kids. Chuck, you got a kid who's playing in the NFL.
So I thought it was wrong. Everybody thought it was wrong, including the father, Giannis, and his son. And they all, at the end, cleaned it up, and they all agreed he went too far. And so it's all. I thought the way they handled the post situation was excellent. And
well, let me ask you, and you're the only one with a son in professional sports right now. If something happened to Charles III, you were in the stands, you were close enough to jump the rail and do something to the player who offended your son. What would you do it?
No.
He went to a Christian school, David. He went to St. Anthony's.
Yeah, that matters.
David, let me say this. I think he's free to root and cheer and yell from the stands as a spectator. The minute he enters the court in a game that his son won, okay, so whatever disrespect anyone might say his son, I think just by virtue of him being on the floor is evidence that he was a bit out of step there.
Right.
I ban him. I ban him half a season or even a whole season. I would ban him. The father.
He was wrong. He was dead wrong. That's my team.
Yeah.
I support. And I like John Halliburton. Every time they show him on TV, he seems affable. You see mom and dad, and it's a very intact family from Wisconsin.
He got caught up. It's okay.
He got caught up.
He'll stop that foolishness. You ban him a few games.
He's not like John's dad. John's dad just won't get it. I think we won't see this out of Halliburton.
Well, let's hope not. All right. Closing comments. Who hasn't? Raise your hand if you do. Bobby, we'll start with you.
Yes. I don't know if people realize, but when the NBA had the play-in tournament, and they had a champion, a winner for the play, the tournament, not playing in to get in the playoffs. I'm talking about the in-season game tournament. They call it in-season tournament. The whole year they call it in-season tournament until at the end for the championship. And what do they call it? They call it the NBA Cup. And what I'm saying is, be ready, you all. The NBA is getting ready to go international. And I'm telling you, because when I played in Europe, it was the European Cup, and they already have the formula for doing it. The NBA is already having teams going over there. They're going to enter into it. And the salaries, you think $300 million is a lot, they're going to be making $500 million and $1 billion because it's going to go international. And if you notice, the first, if I'm right, 4 or 6 players were international players that were drafted in the draft.
Well, three out of the top players in the NBA, the top 5 players are international. Chuck,
they're going to set the All-Star game up too, international versus the U.S. born too. So
yes,
look for that. Okay, mine is real quick. I saw the movie Sinners. It's not sports related. I saw the movie Sinners. Kugel is the director, the writer. It is an incredible piece of art. The music is great, the cinematography is great, the writing is great, the storyline is great, Michael P. Jordan is great, all of the actors are great. It is as good a movie as I've ever seen. I am going to go back. I highly recommend it. It is incredible. Sinners, go check it out.
But Chuck, could you sleep at night?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I don't need to see no satanic.
It's not that kind of thing. It's got a little scary, that little vampire thing at the end, but it's not. It's okay.
There's a little vampire thing, yeah.
It ain't like the Exorcist.
All right, Andrew, you got a closing comment?
Yeah, just real quick. I mentioned Sterling. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo and the entire Milwaukee Bucks franchise is going to be like massive, franchise and league-wide ramifications. They're going to get broken up. I think both the team and Giannis benefit from him being sent to a winning team, and that'll give the Bucks a chance to rebuild. I think it's going to be fascinating. Just like certain decisions in the offseason that take over the actual game, this is going to be fascinating to watch, and it'll keep our summers quite busy and interesting.
And I will conclude by saying I'm going to see Caitlin Clark this Saturday.
Wow.
As the Indiana Fever, the most popular team and potentially the best team in the WNBA, kick off their season with an exhibition game. Looking forward to it.
Hey, can I make one last comment real quick?
Maybe. Go ahead, Bob.
Please. I'm impressed with Andrew, how he pronunciates Giannis Antetokounmpo's name so accurately. I'm impressed that he was able to.
I practiced like for 4 hours
I
earlier.
could tell you was spitting all on the screen, but anyway.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to thank you, gentlemen. Once again, I'm David Burnett, joined by Bobby Kinzer. Welcome back, Bobby. Chuck
Good to see
Snowden.
you, Bobby.
All right, Chuck.
And Andrew Stevens. And that's all for
Good
Real
job,
Fellas
David.
Talk Sports. We'll see you next week.